right. Hello. Welcome everyone to the second episode of the Summer's Cool podcast. Welcome back. It is Friday, July 8th, 2022. I am your host, Daniel, and I want to open up right away and say that if you're watching this on the replay or if you're hanging out listening and you have anything you want to share in the next couple weeks over the course of the summer or something you want to bring to the group, this is a great opportunity to just bring it out and share it. So you can just give me a message. Maybe we can share publicly what you got going on. In the spirit of an opening monologue pioneered by our instructor, Richard, I have something to share with you guys tonight that I shared once before on Mike Nimitz's podcast. It's just a great visual metaphor for the human spirit and what we can overcome. The way I like to start with it is just agriculture, how we work with the soil or work with plants. I was a hemp farmer. I'm a hemp farmer this year, though I'm not growing a crop, but this is a stalk I have from the hemp crop in 2019 when I first started. Standard, the roots in the ground, stalk goes up. In the summer when I was out checking the crop, I noticed one of the plants was just like laid flat right across the surface of the ground. And either wind or some other force had come along and damaged the crop, just this one plant. And it was tipped and smashed over pretty hardcore. Here's the root ball down here. And here's this snap. And when I was walking along the ground and checking this thing out, to me it looked like it was going to be toast. It was laid flat right across the mulch. I had all mulched and wood chipped the area, and the leaves kind of looked weak and frail. They weren't vibrant, and I didn't pay too much mind to it. I just kind of walked past it and thought, that was gone. A couple other branches had been eaten either by rabbits or deer. And when I came back though, later in the summer to watch how the crop changed, and then when I brought in the harvest and I had this knot to look at, and it's just such a strong elbow. It reminded me of a lot of things I've been learning on autonomy and just learning as I challenge myself in many areas. So what appeared to me as destroyed by just the effects of nature around it ended up being a very vibrant producer. Actually, in comparison to the plants around it that were vertical like this plant actually ended up producing more by weight. And it like overcame like a death situation. And then all these side branches that would have been normally just Christmas treed, they all became little miniature colas. And that's the reason it led to its higher yield and its more fruitful production. And I feel like with our lives and what we've been going through with the scandemic and all the things changing around us of inflation, and we can really feel like we've been snapped like this hemp stalk has, or maybe even more emotional things. We may have loved ones that are damaged or dealing with major problems, health problems, physical problems, emotional problems also related to the pandemic. And we could all feel like we're this snapped. So we're snapped or we're snapping. And, our ability to overcome is unlimited. And we talk about that in the course in autonomy. And Richard reminds us of that. And he shows us a ton of great examples. But sometimes when we're out there, we're separated from the group, or it's been weeks since a Q&A session, or we didn't get to go to PorcFest. Some of us may feel like this. And I feel like this sometimes too, even recently. But I want to speak encouraging words that being broken like this can lead to the most fruitful things in our lives. Like our dreams and visions can come true, and we can manifest amazing things beyond our wildest imaginations. This is just a small little metaphor for that. But I believe in just whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever your goal you're seeking, whatever brought you into autonomy, you can take it higher, you can take it farther. So that's a little bit I had to share from the top. A couple other things that I had going on we were going to have a guest on tonight, but we're going to push that back to a different time. But I did want to share some really cool stuff that this gentleman's been making. So I'm going to do a little dance around and learn some fancy tricks on the live style, doing it live with the computer. Let's see. Here we go. Select that. Boom. That's how you learn, guys. I see two faces in Mexico that I'm really excited to see together. It's fantastic. Hello, south of the border. Check that out, guys. Grand Theft World, the fan chat. Stay red pilled, Friendagos. Gates, glowing face with Gates. The red pill radical is the source for these pieces of art. Check that one out. Gatto and Grove, libertarian, authoritarian teachers. Guidepost for those seeking a way out. Infinitum, Adam Infinitum, red pill radical. He's been posting these rad images on Discord, and I just wanted to spotlight some of them. This one I thought was pretty unique. He uses some Latin in there and some like Japanese, so I'm not sure some of the, I know Order Ab Chaos is on the top, Order Out of Chaos. Some really unique things he's stacking together. But when me and him were chit-chatting about these things, we were talking about some things Terence McKenna used to say about being the media and creating things. I don't know, it was a fresh reminder. It reminded me of one of Richard's older podcasts where he played some of these samples. There was one where Terence McKenna was in a crowd and like two people were calling out a question, and one asked like, how do we win or how do we fight back? And they were kind of like back to back, and he couldn't answer the first person before the second person asked their question. So the second person calls out, how do we fight back? And he says, same question as the other question. And then he says, by creating art. And I'm going to find the sample for a future show, but he really goes on to elaborate the value of creating art. But I feel like Grand Theft World is a work of art, and Autonomy is a work of art, and Liberty Radio is a work of art, and the way we create media that interacts with any person who is not in our city is a way for us to really do something and magnify other people outside of our physical circle, but in our digital circle. And it could lead to a really lasting benefit both for us and for the other end of the party. I like that one. Truth be my lead magnet.
How do we fight back? It's a question worth answering. Same question as how do we fight back? I think that by creating art,
Government has kept us in a perpetual state of fear, kept us in a continuous stampede of patriotic fever with the cry of grave national emergency. A quote from Douglas MacArthur. And then Adam spun it with this like dizzying effect. Like everyone around us is spun. Here's Neo with a red pill upon a red pill upon a red pill. I think that was my process. It was, this, then that, then this, then that. Discovering these layers of conspiracy. Authentic journalism is telling people something the government doesn't want them to know. Wise words of Gary Webb. That one's Latin. But anywho, these are some of the really cool pieces of art that Adam's been sharing. So check those out on the Discord. That's groovy stuff. Anywho, I see, awesome. Good to see some more faces in the group. Good to see everyone tonight. I talked to someone earlier about time banking. So I'm wondering if they're interested, if we could open up and talk a little bit about the time banking project that was discussed many weeks back, and there's been some behind the scenes work on it. Can we get an update? Hopefully my sound isn't coming too loud with motorcycles driving by or trains coming through, but I'm in an area where we're gonna get maybe some cars zipping by. I'm coming live from the front porch, summertime. You can see I got some summer art. That's one of my father's color pencil drawings. It's a beach ball floating on the surface of a pool. And this is a different one he did. It's an anti-Iraq war drawing of caskets. the numerous Iraqi flagged caskets are the casualties of civilians in comparison to the one U.S. soldier casket. So like for every one U.S. soldier, there was, some of these are small. They were children. My dad said that's why the caskets were smaller. So whereas women and children were killed, we talk about, there was 5,000 soldiers or 6,000 soldiers dead, is hundreds of thousands of civilians killed in Iraq. And that whole Iraq thing is just kind of forgotten about. Anywho, so that's some art I have behind me. I have you unmuted on my end, Michael, if you're trying to come through.
How about now? Is that better?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just have to use it like this.
My bad. Yeah. So what have you guys had going with the time banking? I haven't heard much of an update. I'm curious to hear what you got going.
I was expecting to talk to Rawad today, but I did not get a chance to do that. So we really haven't made any additional things as of recently. Generally, every week we're doing something. We're making some kind of developments. But essentially, what I think we're going to be doing is just for people that are participating in community events, we're going to recognize them by giving them tokens. And the community events that want to participate in that, those people that want to participate, we want to try and give them that opportunity to like introduce like what they want to do for other people. I'm just going to kind of like on a weekly basis keep like a spreadsheet of like who's getting the tokens and then who wants to trade tokens with other people. But the idea is really just to kind of give people that opportunity to kind of experiment with this idea of a time token that they can exchange with other people in the within the community. And we may just start off with a few people that are volunteers that want to do some of the or provide some of the services that they can to other people in the community. And so I put together a little spreadsheet that for those of you that are on the Circle platform, you can check that out and see like what I'm offering. So like anybody that wants to exchange a time token for any of the services that I'm providing, you can do that, And so the idea is just to start out kind of slow and just get some of the people involved that are more interested. I think, the idea of a time bank is somewhat confusing to a lot of people, and there's a lot of different variations. And so we're going to try and make it as simple as possible because we don't want to be tracking people's information or any of that kind of stuff. We want to make it really simple. And if we can get enough people involved and kind of working the system, then we'll probably upgrade to something like a DAO with like a crypto token that then people can exchange within the community. And it's almost like it's a service that we can just provide to the community as a kind of a private contractor. I don't even know if we're going to call it a time bank. I think we're probably going to call it something like a energy exchange or something along those lines. Again, the idea being is that to really simply give people an alternative way of kind of looking at value in a way other than the way that the fiat currency system introduces you to value. And honestly, I don't think people understand how much conditioning the monetary system has done to their mind and their mindset in regard to recognizing value, because there's a lot of quality of life things that people aren't recognizing because those things aren't recognized by the fiat system.
Yeah.
And so by giving people that opportunity for an alternate is that opportunity to really see how far the fiat system has taken people away from quality of life and towards doing things like, buying cars and trucks and houses and, new phones every 6 months or every, 16 months or whatever it is that, however many times people change their phones and stuff. But all these things that people are familiar with, and they're familiar with buying like every month and, getting on monthly plans and programs and stuff like that. These are not things that actually really deliver quality of life. And the things that actually do deliver quality of life, they don't even know about them.
Mhm.
They don't even have time to know about them because they got to work so much to get these other things. And so this is really an opportunity to look at things differently. And so we're going to start out slow, and we're just going to work with the people that want to start, and then we'll go from there. And hopefully, as we use this as an example, it'll become easier for people to understand, because there's a lot of confusion. And James here and I were talking to Bob Podolsky about this earlier. There's a lot of potential for confusion when it comes to exchanging time rather than exchanging money for things.
Yeah, no, that sounds really awesome. I'm really interested in, like, I want to be a part of the experimental group if I can. I actually have a situation where I'm helping out another autonomy student who happens to be in Hawaii, and we're discussing trade, like how can we trade? And I have used some of his services before, but currently I don't need any right now. So maybe I can credit some of his services in exchange, and that can exist as an energy unit that can be traded until someone wants to cash it in for its service. Until then, it'll be a unit that can be exchanged. So, and a question I have about the creation. So in the scenario, so let's say two or more parties come together to do an exchange. Would that be the creation of the energy unit or the token of exchange in the situation?
Now, what I'm suggesting we do as far as creating tokens is really the community events like this right now. So like you've spent some time preparing this, this presentation, and then you're spending your time tonight presenting that information. And so, essentially we would recognize you for that time that you spent preparing it, plus the time that you're presenting it. And then everybody that's here witnessing it, their time is also essentially, valuable.
Yeah.
And so like by issuing the people that are participating in this thing tonight a token, and then saying, okay, now you can exchange that token with any of us that are here or anybody else that's in the community that's offering services for time tokens. That's how we do it. And so like, I think that way we can kind of recognize community events and recognize that time that people spend going to community events as something that's valuable. And that time is real.
Yeah.
And so like creating that recognition of that time is really kind of the first recognition that, all of our time is the same, no matter if we're spending a minute, doing something where we're getting paid for it, or we're doing something else that we're interested in. This is this opportunity to really kind of see that there's a different perspective that we're not seeing when it comes to how we're spending time. And for the most part, a lot of us are wasting a lot of time on things that don't really serve us well. And so being able to see that new perspective or see that perspective in a new way is something that I really feel like, like a lot of us have. I've seen a lot of people have trouble budgeting time and doing time management and stuff like that. This is another way that you can start to really see, okay, this is a different way that I can manage my time. That's relatively easy to do, and I get more out of it. And the other thing is recognizing what people do well, and like when you can delegate things that you don't really want to do to other people that do want to do those things, then you can, with that time that you've got that you don't have to do those things, you can do things that you really want to do. And here again is like, I've done this with my ethical emergence course, where I've tried to give people that opportunity to, save time and things that are, not so productive for them. Like I'm playing video games 3 hours a week. So if I cut that by an hour, then what am I going to do with that hour of time? Well, I can do this other productive thing. And it's something that I really want to do, but I use this excuse that I can't do it because I ain't got enough time. So like once you start to see that, okay, as I take time or I take these things away from myself that I don't like doing, but that time is now able to be invested in things that I really like to do. And I've made these excuses that I can't do because I've got all this other stuff to do. Now I can actually do those things. And now I can also kind of create the circumstance that people actually recognize that I like to do those things, and those things are valuable to other people.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's one of these things that, like anything else, if you practice it, it becomes more familiar. And as you become more familiar, you get better at it. And then lo and behold, you start to see that there's a whole new world that opens up. And,
Yeah.
and I think in a circumstance like this, where we've got a lot of people that are entrepreneurs and, have valuable skills, it is that opportunity to recognize. Adam Biggleson the 2 weeks ago, he said people are starving for encouragement. And this is kind of one of those circumstances where you can spend a little bit of time doing something that you're excited about, and other people can say, hey, you do that well, and man, that's worth so much more, so that's what we're trying to do there.
Right on. No, right on for sure. I'm behind that for sure. And I agree. Once you get the momentum going, that's going to be a system that's going to grow itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is going to be exciting, but again, it's one of those things where it takes a little bit of time to get used to. And there's just not a lot of examples out there of how this works.
Yeah, we're creating this path. We're literally doing it live.
Yeah.
But that's how things start. Then it can multi-platform and get duplicated in many ways. And these are solutions to the problem, right? This would be like Buckminster Fuller said: you outgrow. You don't try to change the institution. You create a separate institution outside of it, and you nullify the first one. I think that's what Larkin Rose is saying too. We just need to stop believing in government.
So if everybody's in agreement, I'll essentially issue each of you guys time tokens for this event. And, I'll give you an extra token, Daniel, for the preparation of, the extra work you had to do to get this thing off the ground. But, certainly that token is good in my offers as far as the services that I offer. And if anybody else wants to, make some offers of things that they can do, or if you've got something that you think maybe somebody else can help you, just recognize that you've got a time token that you can say, hey, I got an hour. Can I get you for an hour to help me do this? And
yeah,
we'll go there. But I'm essentially going to be the spreadsheet holder for the initial time where we're just kind of experimenting with this. So, if we want to verify that you've got a token and that you're going to exchange it with somebody else, just talk to me and we'll get that organized. But I'm just doing this on the fly, so bear with me. But
but I got you recorded now, so
yeah,
I'll be able to go to a timestamp in the future and say, Mike, you said this, so I got, and this is how this is the blockchain of creating it, so they can grow from this point. Yeah, because I could do video production work for people, graphic design work. I can also ship you hemp products, so I have physical goods too. So yeah, that's definitely something really cool. And Mike, thank you for the back work that you put in, even coming up with all the brainstorming and meeting with Rawad to kind of narrow it down to this point where we can start to initiate and take action with it. I'll talk to the other autonomy student that I got, and like we're doing a trade now, so I'll see if we can involve that with it.
Can I share my screen? I'll just give you an example of my offer, and then everybody else can see what I'm offering, and then if anybody wants to take me up on that. Let's see here. So again, it's a work in progress here, but certainly my interest is to help people experience happiness and contentment. And so I've got a number of things that I can provide to people. And so I've got my ethical emergence course. I've got value proposition preparation and presentation. I can help you with that. Project management and development, I can help you with that. So if you've got a project or an idea that you'd like to bring forth, and then these are some of my more kind of obscure qualities that I can provide services to you: listening and observing thoughtfully, needing to bend their ear. I'm willing to do that. Certainly hints on recognizing quality of life. This kind of goes along with the problem solving or problem definition and resolution. If you need some help with finding something out, that you're struggling with, maybe you don't know exactly what that is. And then of course, team building and the art of delegating. These are things I get from, working as a general contractor in a career. And then I think the final one is living in Acapulco. James can talk about that one if you want. But essentially, these are the things. And then, of course, I've got my blog and my video channel down here at the bottom. But that's just a sample of some of the things that I figured I could offer to people as prospective things that might be of interest. And of course, if I'm giving you a half hour or hour of my time to help you, figure out some of those things, I think you'll find it valuable. And I'd like to practice all these things as well. So you helping me do that alone is also useful.
Right on. That's some fantastic stuff. I like your call to action at the end there. Move to Acapulco. That's the ultimate call to action. That is fantastic. Michael, thanks for sharing that. And I'm looking forward to updates. 2 weeks from now, we can maybe talk about some transactions we've been doing. Well, cool. I do want to add, even if someone's catching this on the replay, that this is also a major platform. Like, my main goal is to provide this for anyone to talk or to interrupt me at any time and say, hey, I want to address something I got going on, or I want to ask for help, and provide that environment that we had on the Sunday Q&As. But in light of that, I want to tell you guys something that happened to me in the past couple of weeks, and it was a learning experience. And I think some of you may have even seen me post about it. Some weeks back, I've been looking for work for a while, whether it's remote work or somewhere that has me moving, but I've been looking for a while. And I had a interview or like a lead on a job a couple of weeks back, and then they had said, hey, we want to move you up to this next step in the process. And it was a pretty sweet offer. It was remote video production and like Photoshop work. They just wanted you to know the Creative Suite and work on digital content so you could live wherever. And the pay was pretty substantial. It was for a sub-rooted company related to pharmaceuticals, but it wasn't one of the big name ones. I think it was related to a opioid producer. Not much better, but anyways, for me, I thought it meant the ability to move south, get land, get my hemp crop in the ground, and move towards my vision of a geothermal greenhouse, sustainability, and growing cannabis regularly for for medicinal use, for benefit, whether I'm growing hemp or whether I'm growing Delta. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want to be active in the soil again. And I have ideas for more products that I want to pursue, but that has to just be on the back burner. I'm more the stage of my life I'm at. So the job offer asked me to join Wire. And they're saying, since COVID, we have this protocol. We want you to join Wire and then find this person. She gave me her name. And I did all that. Then I searched her name to see if she was a real person really related to this company. And there was this person existed. Her name, this position with this company, recruiter, or talent acquisition. And so I'm like, wow, this is legit. So like started getting exciting, like my day job's about to get the middle finger that I've been holding on for so long, But I had like weird feelings about it, the initial email. And then I sat down to do this chat interview. And that's what I posted about in the autonomy chat, was this chat interview I had. And I thought it was great because I thought I was interacting with this woman. At times I thought it could have been an AI bot, but at other times it was very different interacting with me. And it seemed like, a feminine character, not like a guy in India or, whatever. Because there was like personal questions like, did you look at our website? What did you think? And I browsed around their website and I was like, yeah, it looks like you're pioneering both, technology and you're pioneering in service, because they're trying to offer, which was interesting. They were offering all these courses for their people taking their products. People would get onto this digital network and they'd be maybe consuming the products from this company, but they would also have access to all these other video interactions and digital assets, things that were given to them through the internet. And they were probably behind some type of paywall. And doesn't that sound familiar? This pharmaceutical company was doing this. And that's actually real, even though the job was fake, all that stuff was real. They were trying to shield themselves under that. So the way it uncovered was, after this long chat interview, I had asked, when will I speak with someone from HR? Because like that would be the next logical step. And then the person responded, oh yeah, you'll hear like within the next 2 days, and then you'll be assigned some work for the first week just to try out and see what you can accomplish for us, what your work ethic was. Again, things that seem legitimate. And then the very next day I went back and checked the initial contact, and I just felt suspicious. So I went to the source company and I emailed them, and then I got a response and they said, well, will you be willing to share anything with us, screenshots? So I was like, yeah. I screenshotted the entire Wire chat. I screenshotted them identifying themselves as this woman. I had screenshotted the first email, and I gathered like all 14 files, shot them off to the company, and they came back and they're like, yeah, this is not us. Sorry for the hassle. This is probably a phishing scam. And what were they phishing for? Someone to give up bank information to, now that I'm employed with you, you're going to have to give me direct deposit, as opposed to them directly depositing all of my money out into somewhere in the Philippines. So that was a learning experience that maybe my better judgment would have helped, but also, going through autonomy and, being a critical thinker, consuming the media I have been really did help. And going back and going, why is that initial email not have like a box in the corner with this person's contact and the address and the phone number? Because when I emailed them directly, the response had all that. So a follow-up is just this past week, another thing very similar. We saw your interview, we saw your application through Indeed. We want to move you to the next stage and have you do a formal application on our website. And so I went through that process. And again, it was through like a third-party recruitment service that has all these forms you fill out. So it's not like it's their own. They're subcontracting out these form services that get submitted to them in their HR departments. And I got fishy again. I'm like, what is this? Like, this was a marketing job and could be remote, but might require moving, but that didn't matter because it was in the area I wanted to go anyway. And so I did the same thing. I shot out to the company, screenshots, but this time they're like, yeah, that's our Aaron, that's our person in HR, and this is legit. Thank you for checking. So it's like they were very happy to kind of see me being diligent and then checking out and saying I've had phishing scams. And so those are two interesting things that just happened to me in the last couple of weeks that could be potentially really good, could be ungood. You kind of sometimes feel like I'm the hemp stock and I'm getting this, because in my situation, I'm in a small house, 4 children, and we have 1 bathroom, and it's time to move, whether we move just across the river in town or we move out into the country or we leave, but that would mean me leaving my day job, which is kind of like the source of the cream right now. But yeah, autonomy definitely has changed our course. I mean, a year ago at this time, I was still just trying to figure out how to recover from the pandemic, messing with what I had planned to do with cannabis. And coming through autonomy has me doing a whole lot more with video production and digital skills. But I don't know. Future's wide open, and my cat's trapped with me on the front porch. I don't know. I'll anybody can interrupt me anytime, but I will share one more thing so that you guys didn't come here tonight and not hear something interesting about me, because it's my show, right? I'm going to have a hemp cigarette, so feel free if anyone's out there. I had one autonomy student said that they thought it would be nice to have a digital smoke session. This is some of my hemp farmed Abacus. This has very high pinene and limonene content, so it doesn't put you out on the couch at all. It has a nice cherry flavor. It's almost like a good cigar. And I roll these up and I smoke during my day at work, maybe 2 or 3 of these a day. They're very, very calming. So years back when I was just filming some skateboarding at a local skateboard park, a gentleman approached me and asked me about my camera and what else I did with it. And I said, well, I've done weddings and I could do commercials, or maybe we could make, what do you want to make? I'm like, what do you want me to make? You're clearly asking me about what I can do with it. And he said he was working on an unsolved homicide. And he asked me if I was interested in potentially working with them, doing interviews and contributing to this unsolved homicide. And I said, absolutely. It sounded like a great opportunity. And this gentleman's name was Steve. And I think we met within a week. And he had these bins and these files of all the police records from this homicide from Menominee, Wisconsin. I believe it was 77, because it was maybe 2007. I was working with him and we were going to call it this Mary Kay Schleiss 30 years unsolved. 30 years had gone by. There was some stirring in the local press in the community. Someone in the area was pressuring the police. It had got onto a local paper. My first interaction was traveling up there to do an interview at a restaurant. And it was a fascinating experience because the other partner in the film was really high energy. And I hadn't worked with someone like that before. But Steve was the guy who kind of brought me in. So I kind of like followed his lead with it. He was in the city I was in, and ended up spending a lot of time with him going through these files, because we were trying to make sense of a story. Like, how do you tell an unsolved homicide story? How do you create a linear form? What do you want to do? Who do we want to talk to? Who's left to talk to? And there wasn't many people. There was her brother. There was the detective who was pressuring to get the case open. And potentially there was people in prison that we wanted to pursue getting. The gentleman, Steve, that I was working with, his desire was for us to make like a little 30-minute, 15-minute buffer clips and then take it to firms or try to sell it to get funding to run the whole thing and make it like a year or 2 long project. And at the time I was newly married, no children. And I thought this could be a really awesome opportunity. And so I spent a lot of nights with them going through files. We did two different filming trips, one to Minnesota to meet with the victim's brother and to film the grave site and her original home. And then a different trip to Menominee, Wisconsin to film with the sheriff and the site where she was found and get more details about that, filming in his office. So it was a really unique experience for me because I'm just like, I'm a kind of dirty skater kid, and now I'm dressing up and I'm staying in hotels and I'm at the county sheriff's house, filming on his couch, and able to just granted my experience in vending machines and doing this service I've been doing for so long really gave me the experience to kind of talk to people wherever they were. I could talk to the guy who's running the CNC machine, and then I can go talk to Jose, the guy who mops up all the break rooms and takes out the garbage in between. And working in vending really gives you great opportunity to just meet everyone where they're at, and to be able to go from one place that's filthy right into an office environment where people want to be treated like they are the Prince of Wales. But back to my my unsolved homicide story. We ended up filming a lot. I ended up spending quite a bit of time in the editing station figuring out how to break it down. I remember making like a 47-minute cut, and then down to 30 minutes, and writing my own content myself where I'm narrating in between, because we didn't have like actor talent. So I kind of had to nominate myself, and I didn't want to steal anyone's music. So I ended up just miking my guitar and playing this kind of like sad finger picking guitar music to accompany the opening and closing scenes where I'm narrating in between the B-roll footage and the interview footage and the footage we have of the crime scene evidence. So it was a fascinating story. I don't want to get too long into the story. I think I'm going to get interrupted briefly for a good night. Hi. Good night. Say hi to everyone around the world.
Good night.
Good night. There you go. That's my youngest, Micaiah. So after we had put together a lot of these pieces, I presented it to them, to Steve and his partner, and they were happy with it. They ended up giving me some other work, which was very good. And he tried getting it out to get funding, and nothing ever came of it, and it kind of just became nothing. And I think a year or so after, maybe it was 2009, there was a local film festival at the university here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and I had been showing my skateboarding films there kind of through submission letter. Another great thing I learned through skateboarding was how do you write letters to boards and committees seeking assistance, funding, grants, give us some placement. So I was able to get their theater, which they had just built a student union up on the third floor of the student union. Yeah, good night. There are probably two more after that because I have four of them. The student union had built this great facility, basement, first floor, dining, gaming, music area, art gallery, and theater, like, pit seating theater. It was great. And so for 3 years in a row, we were showing skateboard videos there. And the film festival was also going to take place in that same area. So I submitted to the film festival, and I'm not a student at the university. It didn't matter. It was kind of like a film festival that was organized by the radio, television, RTF department. And because some of the professors there were making independent films with some of the students, and were kind of encouraging that. And there is, like, wherever you go, you're going to find like independent film vibe. Even back then, there was a lot of independent film prior to, YouTube blowing up in 2010. And so I entered the film just kind of like taking a shot in the dark. Like, I don't know how I'm going to stack up to students and the technology they have in the class. But I was really surprised to find out that I won a prize, and then that they used my film to close the festival, like the 30-minute cut version. And after the film, played, they sent me like a letter in the mail about the prize, because they just played all the films and didn't tell anyone what was what, until post tense. It was published in the college paper. This professor, Frances Perkins, she reached out to me after the prize was awarded, and she asked me to come lecture her class, which made me even more nervous, because I really didn't and continue to feel nervous in front of people. This is easier because it's just me and my cat and the computer, and I see your faces, but I feel less vulnerable. But I was a much younger man then. I still hadn't had any children, and I had only begun the process of deconstruction and reconstruction of my worldview through, waking up to 9/11. That had started for me in 2006, but by 2009, it was kind of like, being worked on. And I'd gone through the cage stage where I'm knocking on everyone's door saying, bro, wake up, man. So I go into this classroom, and they play the film first, and then I talk a little bit about what went into it, how it happened, how I got involved. Same things I'm saying to you guys tonight. And really feeling nervous. And then the students start asking questions, like they're asking to solve their mental image. Like, if I was doing that, how did you overcome this? Well, what about that? What about, how'd you solve this problem? In a lot of cases, it really was just problem solving. You need to get a lapel microphone. You need to go test the lapel microphone. Where's a good place to put it on your shirt? You don't just go to the scene and throw a lapel microphone on the county sheriff and be like, well, let me figure this out live. You want to do a little legwork behind. And maybe it's because of my skateboarding experiences and how we would arrange shoots. Sometimes we would use lighting or tripods. We would arrange things to accomplish things, and that would involve some type of back end planning. And I don't know, it worked out really good. That just this kind of, I'm a kid on a skateboard park, I'm filming and skating, and now I'm getting a film for a film festival, an unsolved homicide piece. And that's just a little example of the hemp stuff. How our own potential, we don't even know until opportunity knocks. And sometimes we got to open our mouth up and we got to say something and ask something, approach someone. Maybe it'll be comfortable, maybe it'll be uncomfortable. But I'm trying to encourage all of you that as the summer goes on, whatever obstacle you face, step up to that obstacle and swing away Meryl. If you know the film Signs, don't let an opportunity come by you and then you look in the past at it as a missed opportunity, but let each opportunity come to you, and maybe get a little Neo and give yourself some bullet time where you can go, is this an opportunity I'm swinging at? Maybe I should really let this interrupt what I got going on. And don't doubt yourself. I'm guilty of that often, but I'm also here saying, don't doubt yourself. So yeah, that's kind of some cool stuff I got to share about tonight. If anyone has any questions about what I've shared, I'd be more than happy to answer questions about that, or anything you guys have on your mind that you want to share. I'm gonna open it up wide.
Boy, that's a really exciting a story, man. I really appreciate you bringing that to us. And I would say that is certainly what you talked about is certainly something that I really feel like we need to encourage each other to do, to kind of spread our wings, and let's help each other do the things that we know we can do, or we want to do, but for whatever reason we're a little bit timid about doing those things. I know I was just talking to James here about he was doing some work with Stephanie on the new lead magnet that Autonomy is going to be coming out with, which I just got to get a little peek of it on Thursday, but from what I see, it's awesome. It's a new little piece of the puzzle in regard to marketing autonomy that I think we can all benefit from, and certainly want to encourage Stephanie that maybe if she wants to talk a little bit about it, or I can hand it over to James and maybe he can say something.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear James's voice from Mexico.
All right, give it a shot. All right. Hello, world. Can you still hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Nice. What's going on, Daniel? It's good to see you again.
It's blowing my mind because it's just as possible for my face to be in that room, and that's what you're telling me by putting your face in that room.
Yeah, it's really not difficult at all.
Yeah,
it's harder than you think it is, and it's really a lot of fun. So yeah. I recommend it. I do. But no, I got a chance to see the new lead magnet as well, and I was absolutely floored. Just by all the creativity that went into this particular asset. It really was head and shoulders above what the previous offering had been, and really encapsulated kind of the spirit of this thing that we call autonomy.
Yeah,
this experience that we've all had a chance to take part in, which I think has enriched all of our lives. I'm hoping I can say that, and everyone will agree with me. But no, you could really tell the amount of work that had been put into this new product, and it really shined through. And I just wanted to make sure that folks were aware of that, so that when it does finally hit the market, people can take advantage of it, and hopefully it's going to allow our community to grow in a much faster way, and get more people into this experience. But that's pretty much what I had to say about it. I don't know, but
it makes me really curious. I'm wondering what it is that's been cooked up, because I saw some stuff recently in this past week's, the 1 week offer for, season 7 replay. I shared that with a couple people real quick, because they're entrepreneurs. So they're in a situation where I can go, listen, I've talked to you about joining season 8. And I would prefer to do that, because then we could do this stuff together, and I can help you meet the people I met last season and be like, autonomy is super rad. How much more rad if you get to bring your real world friend into this group of friends that you feel like we're already, because these people are already on the same wavelength with me. So we're already kind of on that path. And when I come into autonomy, it's like right away in my mind, there's like these 5, 6, 7 people start popping up. I'm like, these are autonomy people. These, again, people that might struggle financially with the obligation and the value. But again, that's why this past week I shared that with them real quick, just to give them an opportunity.
Well, yeah, because again, better to give them the opportunity and have them say no, because at that point it's their choice, right?
Yeah.
Than to not present them with the opportunity at all, especially if you think that they can stand to benefit from it, and you would benefit from it, and the community would benefit from it. That's what making deals is all about, making sure that everybody is able to take a piece of the pie and walk away better for having made the deal, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, kudos to you for having the courage to do that, because again, not everybody would be able to take that upon their shoulders. So that's awesome, and I hope some of them do actually take advantage of it, so that we can just add that much more enrichment to the community. Because again, the bigger we get, the more limitless the possibilities for everyone in the community becomes.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what we all kind of got into this to try and get out of it, is to create something better than what we've had, what we've been used to, and then be able to pass that thing that we built along to other people.
Yeah. And to see it grow and spread through us, through other people, and onward.
Absolutely.
And literally, like, the idea of making the world a better place, like, oh, that's impossible, you're not gonna have world peace, bruh. But you can actually make the world a better place for someone,
Right.
And the world will be a better place for them. So you're actually making the world a better place. Like, honestly, I'll tell people my world's a better place post going through autonomy. Flat out, can't deny it. Like, there's some clips from my interview, like when I rewatched them from like my graduation interview, I was like, yeah, like, I'm really glad I said it that way. I really feel that way, like, no doubt. And like Adam said 2 weeks ago, like, what is there better than autonomy? Like, oh yeah, you can cure cancer. You're like, oh, that's the best thing ever. But no, wait, there's something better. There's like, what if your cancer is cured, but you're not autonomous? You're a slave. So being cured of cancer, being a slave, isn't a solution. Being stuck and pressured by the situation where, crushing gas prices. I know someone who commutes an hour each way to a position, and like, since their commute is that much larger, the increase on the gas is almost flooring their situation. And they're not someone who's autonomy ready. They wouldn't be able to complete the obstacle course. So again, wanting to help them and yet figure out what to share, how to get to them, it's different than my friend who's a business owner. And let me tell you about this guy, since I'm on a great show. I won't tell you his name, but I'll tell you about the most badass man, the most badass husband and father I have ever known. And this dude I've known since he was a 15-year-old skater. He was at the skate park with me since he was a little kid, doing his kickflips and grinds, and he could skate too. He could hang.
All right, lay it on us, man.
So this guy I've known for years. Had a job at a big company for years and years, ended up getting married, having one child. Right around the time they're having their second child, he has got the side business going, and he's traveling to places to do the side business at fairs and craft shows, opens up an online aspect of it that's connected to the real world stuff. He's kind of gathering and reselling things, and it's growing, and he's doing good. So he's like stepping out, leaving the day job, leaving the insurance, going out all on his own with a wife at home who's left her job. She's staying at home now to have these babies, home educate. They're committed to this format. They don't want to give their kids to anyone else. They want to have them. So they're stepping out. They're getting a flag from the family. They have their second child. He leaves this job. He's on his own. Even his own family is flack and stressed. People are doubting him. Well, he's killing it. He's been able to leave one place, get a better place. He's supporting their entire family. And we met up just like maybe 6-7 weeks ago. We met up during autonomy, and my kids, his kids are younger, but my kids like younger kids. We met up at a playground in their town near here, and we jammed out, and we talked a whole lot about business. And I talked to him a whole lot about autonomy, and I talked to him a lot of questions. I asked him about his business and how he thought he could grow, or what he thought he could do if. What would it be like if this? And I just, I love those $1 million questions. Imagine what you could do if you had to have employees, or what if you had people that went and got your collect. You never had to go get, the product raw good. You had people that went and collected it for you, and then you had people that did the sorting for you, and it was just something you were in operation of. I said, when you were around the corner from that, and I was talking to him about the marketing system and all the skills we learned just around just that one aspect of autonomy, not to mention all the other crap that comes along with it, and all the other bonus content and the people you meet. The most valuable part, flat out, hands down, is the people you meet in autonomy. I think that even is above the outstanding curriculum that Richard's put together in autonomy. The people that get to this point and are committed to interacting is what is flat out just amazing. And so this badass dude, here comes the punchline. Him and his wife have their third child. They're pregnant. We're hanging out with them weeks ago. I found out this past week they free birthed their third child. He birthed his wife's baby at home alone. And they only hired a postpartum, midwife to come in and check on the baby afterwards. And everything went fine. But dude, this bro birthed his third child from his wife with his hands. He is the birthing doctor. And I have not met one man my entire life who's done that. I've been involved with my children being born, and I was always in the room. We always had a bad experience at the hospital. We tried midwifers. That was way better. Our fourth child was born in an actual birthing center, and it was just us and this one lady and an assistant, and I was there, and it went generally really smooth. But man, most badass dude I know of. And so I got to give props out that man right there. And if he joins autonomy in the fall, I'll introduce him as the most badass man that I've met. And maybe someone else out there can tell me if they know anyone who's ever birthed their own child. But I think that stands out there with Kat telling me she sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. I think that she told me that earlier in the season when we were talking about doing the most craziest thing we ever experienced. So yeah, I guess that's the icing on the cake. So yeah, unless there's anything else anyone wants to share, I'm going to give it the karate chop of death.
Can you deal with that?
Is there any last throw-ins before end the recording? Shout out to, go ahead, Taras.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to quick mention some updates. Yeah, PorcFest was really fun. So I just got back last weekend, visited my family, and they're all doing good, which I'm very glad about. And it was a restful vacation. And I also made it down to a Russian Orthodox church on Sunday, and that was the first time I've been to a church in many, many years. So it was an interesting, good experience. They speak my original language. I'm curious to check out some other places, learn a bit more about the tradition. I don't know that I'm going to formally convert or anything, but it's been pretty cool. And otherwise, I really had a good time in New Hampshire. I'm definitely considering moving there. I learned a bit about real estate, but the idea of going across the country, I've been in the Midwest for, gosh, 30 years now. So that seems pretty daunting. But it was cool to meet some people in New England. And from what I saw, PorkFest definitely seemed cool. I'm not 100% sure that, the day-to-day life of New Hampshire quite compares to a festival and no work. But it's something that I'm curious about, and it's on the back of my mind. And otherwise, while I'm here, I'm back to work, back to the apartment, and trying to spruce things up, and thinking about real estate and working on my website, and looking at branding and stuff. So that's just a update of what I'm up to. So thanks for hosting the podcast. It's been cool. I enjoyed hearing your story about both the filming you did, about your friend who might be joining, and hearing about the new marketing. I think that's called the Ignite page, but I haven't heard too many updates on the details, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I really appreciate you chiming in too. It's good to just hear what we got going on. And I knew you were out at PorkFest. I saw you in a couple of pictures, and you were on that little live feed that Joshua brought through 2 weeks ago. And that video is posted on the YouTube Autonomy Students page. So if you want to catch that segment, it's about like 26 minutes in. You can watch that part where
Nice.
Joshua takes the phone through a PorkFest, and it's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if they used my little blurb that I said. I was very buzzed at the time. So maybe my testimony wasn't the one to use, but it was a good time nonetheless. And I liked seeing the little production they did, the live recordings they did with Scott Horton, with Gina Epstein. Those were really cool. And also the live Grand Theft World podcasts that they did both the Sunday before and Sunday after the festival. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, no, I watched every Grand Theft World all the way through, and that was really fascinating to see how they pulled it off being in the tent, and then how Tony took over, having dual sites. That's a pretty fascinating feature. I've never taken part of a podcast that was like hosted in two places at one time and kind of split between the two. And actually just a couple hours ago, I started watching, I forget the name of the host, but Richard was interviewed by the Tower Power or the Power Tower. They interviewed him at PorkFest, and they hit him with, right off the bat, they hit him with a question about a conspiracy that seemed too far out there, but then turned out to be real. And Richard comes out with like, well, when I read about adrenochrome, and I'm like, oh shit. And he like just dropped like the heaviest bomb ever and like talked about, well, anyways, it's in the podcast, and it's in the Discord channel, and it's a super fascinating thread to dig into, outside of our times here and outside of using the TV to entertain yourself. Maybe that's a new habit, right? Finding other sources, other podcasts to consume regularly, just so that you could have that relaxing downtime and just have something running, but at the same time have it give you some type of benefit or some type of food for your brain, even if it is just making you laugh. That's why JP's so great. And what's her face? I haven't seen her for a while, but maybe I have to track her down.
Absolutely. I did want to mention the other thing that was cool was, with the little Autonomy Cafe, it was like a real-time lead magnet, for Autonomy, for LD with his shirts. And that was cool to see, like, how do you vend at a festival? And also, not just, okay, I'm out here selling food, maybe if you've got a restaurant back at home that can help promote your restaurant, but also having like also your digital assets there that people can get interested in, and you create leads that way. That's how I found out about Autonomy, was seeing, was it John Bush talking with Tom Woods last year? So that was definitely my goal, was to learn a bit about how business can get done at festivals, aside from, selling a burger for $10, which is cool in itself, but that can be a jumping off point to do something even bigger.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So you're saying you went to PorcFest last year, then joined Autonomy, and then went to PorcFest again this year.
Yep. And this time I like new people, and
Wow.
so now I had friends to hang out with aside from, just checking out the random events. Because last year I went because I was, pissed off that all the music festivals are closed around here. So it's like I hear about PorcFest on, Michael Malice podcast or whatever it was, and I'm just like, well, I can't go to a music festival, so I'm going to that. And yeah, that kind of started me on my journey here. So it was really cool going again this time. I had friends at the place, and so it was more about hanging out with friends, and also still definitely a lot of learning happening. Checked out some events, and it was a great time.
Rad. Thanks for sharing about that, Taras. And that's really cool to hear about you visiting that Orthodox church. I'm actually fascinated. So if you visit a couple other places, I'm curious to hear like what your thoughts are. I mean, have you in the past visited an Orthodox church that spoke, traditional Russian?
Oh, okay. I like had a Zoom hiccup, so I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. Okay.
Oh no, I think I got muted. I was just curious if that's something that's in your past, like being in an environment, an Orthodox.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is that with the Soviet Union, our family's religion got wiped out, and no one's been religious for like 80 or 100 years, something in that ballpark. So, learning about the Eastern Orthodox tradition, it's fascinating. I don't know that I'm, 100% on any particular theological precepts or anything, but like if you go to a place like Ukraine, Romania, Russia, Greece, like it's like 80% Orthodox, maybe some percent Catholic, some percent Muslim, something like that, depending on which country you're in. So like that is just the popular tradition of all these Eastern European countries, and it's something I'm fascinated to learn about because it's how people traditionally lived for going on over 1,000, 2,000 years. We got wiped out a bit by the Soviet Union, but maybe after the war, it's going to be a vibrant place again, and traditions like that can be in full swing. And it's definitely something that I'm interested to learn more about and experience.
Cool. No, I'm definitely fascinated just by the history of Russia in general, because it's one of those things where, I grew up in Russia was like the Hunt for Red October and in Hollywood, and, now it's being brought back in Stranger Things. It's that same old plot line. But then, other places where I've encountered the historical people there has been talking about Tartarus. And I remember hearing on a podcast a long time ago that people in grade school there up until the 70s, 80s were taught that the US faked the moon landing in school. Like that's what they were taught. That, like, what? That's crazy, So who even knows like what existed before? And kind of the same thing with the Ottoman Empire. Who even knows what existed down there before, especially when you learn about how Britain rearranged all that after World War I. It's given me a lot of perspective about what's happening now. So it's definitely more entertaining than any fictitious novel or movie out there. Just keeping an eye on, especially everything this past week. Good gosh, not to get into what's gone on in Georgia and Japan and flipping crazy. CERN turns on and shit starts flying around like someone threw shit in the fan in the Airplane movie. It's just crazy. But that's for Sunday night. Tune into Grand Theft World.
Yeah, it's been wild. Awesome, man. Thanks for putting on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for chiming in.
Tim Flynn is putting on something that I've just been participating with this past Sunday, and this particular coming Sunday is a kind of a little bit of an investigation into what the Jim Jones massacre, and he posted a radio broadcast that's from 1978, December 1st of 1978 by Mae Russell. And she was a a housewife that essentially started investigating a lot of this stuff. And I'm telling you, man, this this story is unbelievable, man. I mean, the ramifications of what happened there and what's going on today, it's really unbelievable. And it kind of goes back to the MK Ultra stuff and in a lot of different areas. But what Tim is trying to do, I think it's just another example of what's going on in autonomy is really this kind of idea of of creating an opportunity for a group investigation where we look at a particular thing and then come together and kind of put all that information in one place. So for people that have gone down some of these rabbit holes and have like had to like deal with the crazy life of like once you get down into a rabbit hole and you're investing hours and hours and hours, you can't seem to like things that briefly take something like that and have some expertise and make it a lot easier to digest some of these interesting things. But in autonomy is this group of people that we have all these different perspectives, and when we come together, there's just like magic. There's like miracles happening where things that don't seem to be that related end up being related, and it makes it a heck of a lot easier to deal with this world that we're living in. And so I wanted to point that out. The other thing was I had Bob Podolsky on my leadership ethics and organization on Wednesday, and he talked about an antidote for the idea of mass formation. And I don't know how much you've got into the mass formation thing, but this idea of mass hypnosis is real. And, a lot of us are unfortunately kind of in our own little kind of echo chamber. And to some degree, we all suffer from these kind of, echo chamber kind of atmospheres that's been created around a lot of different things, not just, main national events, but also, our professions, our industries, the things that we're interested in, the television shows, all kinds of things that have this potential to be kind of like a tunnel vision that leads to a lot of blindness about the things around us. We talk to other people and we can't get them to really hear our logical discussions, and we wonder why that is. It's this mass formation. It's this psychology of the way that this goes about, where they create the circumstance that people are confused and they choose a particular outcome. And for the most part, that's a prepared outcome, but nevertheless, they're emotionally attached to it. And it's not about logic. And so when we try and approach people and talk to them logically about particular things, they're not listening. And they're not going to listen, and they're not even hearing it. Even if the words are going past their ears, they're not hearing it because they've got this emotional bond to this outcome that is created through this kind of mass hypnosis technique that is being used every single day. And so having an antidote to that, and a really kind of simple antidote, is something that could be very exciting, especially for our community, because there are a lot of even us. We've got blind spots, and it would be nice to be able to, have the atmosphere in which we're taking a look at blind spots, and we're taking a look at particular situations, and we're kind of inoculating ourselves to kind of our own blind spots. So I thought that was an interesting interview. If you get a chance, I should be posting that here in the next day or two as something to review or check out. And I will be updating, because Bob does have a value proposition that we're going to be putting out. I don't know if we're going to crowdsource kind of some experimentation with that, or we're going to do it a different way, but another kind of example of some of the innovative things and creative things that are coming about within the autonomy community. I think it's pretty exciting.
That's really exciting. I have a train going by, so I apologize if the noise comes through too loudly. But yeah, I'm really glad you chimed in and shared that as well. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that interview because like I was sharing there at the beginning, some of the images that Adam's been making, and I was talking about Terrence McKenna, like having an anecdote is fantastic. And if we can take the anecdote and put it in a meme or a sticker or, a sentence, a paragraph, 4 questions you can ask someone by the bubbler, and just bring them to maybe a precipice where they can overcome that mass hypnosis. It's incredibly difficult to break. I mean, I've got some coworkers who have been vaccinated and are showing signs of vax injury, some older gentlemen, and like they've openly said like they feel fooled, they felt pressured, they're not happy with this. I think those are all signs of someone who's ready for the paradigm to be questioned. And those are people that they're ready to be approached. And a lot of people have, that's one thing that kind of stands out to me in this time is how much ground I think the New World Order has given up by making themselves so blatant that, a whole segment of America that didn't care to know about anything conspiracy related is all now very aware of these potential realities. And again, there's hurting going on where people kind of get gatekept and swept over here and QAnon and whatnot. But at the same time, people are leaking out and people they're like the hemp stock. They're making their own way. They're finding their own way around these obstacles. And the more people there are like us that are starting podcasts or talking at work or handing out stickers at some event somewhere, these are great ways for us to be bold and to grassroots, to grow and to spread like mycelium underground, without even being seen. We're just spreading through conversations. I think that reminds me, 2 weeks ago, I talked about a challenge for us between that last Friday and tonight, and creating an opportunity where we meet someone and ask them about their problems and, give them empathy and then give them encouragement. And if possible, guide them to solutions. So it's something I want to remind us all to do in between each episode. Unfortunately, I can't say I can think of a person I've had that happen with the past couple of weeks, just minor things overcoming in my own life, but I'll definitely keep mine to share and encourage you guys all to share. And if there's no one else that wants to chime in, I'm going to give it the karate chop of death. I love you guys. It's been really great to meet and to share what we got going on in our lives. I'm really glad that y'all opened up, and I'm glad that anyone who showed up and listened, and anyone who's just listening on the replay that made it this far, you are like the 3-legged dog from Parks and Rec. You are champion. So thank you to all. Have a great night. All the best.